Safety first. Savage changing. Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm Damo, and on today's pedal out video we're going to introduce you to a new member of the pedal out fleet, the Porsche 997.2 C4S Convertible. Okay, let's get straight into it then. Let's talk a little bit about why we bought this Porsche 911. Now, regular viewers to the channel will know it's been a few years, but this is not the first Porsche 911 convertible that's been on the channel. Check out the old videos, look for the 911 playlist. I owned a 996. I can't remember the year. It was one of the first ones with the Friday headlights in silver. Bit of a story attached to that. That was a few years ago. Anyway, long story short, we were felt like we were lacking a halo car within the pedal loud fleet, and felt it was about time to kind of address that situation. Was on the lookout, admittedly, for a 997, probably a first gen one, coupe manual. Ended up with a convertible with a PDK gearbox. Not quite sure what happened. Anyway, it's a beautiful bit of kit. For those of you who know your 911s, specifically the 997, you'll know that the .2 version moved on from the .1 version. This is 3.8 4S, so it's wide-bodied, has that nice reflector across the back between the rear lights. Second gen 997s took on some changes to the lights and the bumpers at the front, slightly bigger wing mirrors. Most importantly though, they changed the engine to the DFI, direct fuel injection. So still a 3.8 unit, still pushing out about 380 brake horsepower, and was subsequently used in the next generation of 911. So they kind of got rid of that old, let's just say slightly problematic engine that was in the Gen 1 997s, which arguably, when I was looking for 997s, I was always kind of conscious of that and looking for ones that had had a rebuild, even though there's a lot of stories about, don't worry about it, if it's been warmed up nicely, lots of oil changes, it will be fine. But they did tend to suffer a bore score. It's all over the internet, I'm sure everybody knows about that. Anyway, apparently less problems with the .2 997s. As I say, the DFI engine was used in later versions. Performance-wise, 0 to 60, 4.5 seconds. It's a very, very nice package. It's got four-wheel drive. It's slightly more technologically advanced, is my understanding, on the four-wheel drive system than the previous gen 997s. And this one in particular, and what attracted me to it, I kind of like always to buy my cars based on spec. So this one is, to describe it as fully loaded is kind of an understatement. So let's jump inside and we'll run through some of the kit that is on this 997.2. Okay, we obviously have the roof down. This is a triple black car, black leather interior, black roof, black bodywork. Mentioned this before, PDK multifunction steering wheel, which is quite nice. PDK obviously meaning Porsche double clutch, so it's a double clutch gearbox, doesn't rely on a torque converter like the previous gen 997s. This one comes with the Sport Chrono package, which is, get a, some say, carbuncle of a stopwatch on the top of the dash, somewhat of a novelty. This one has Bose stereo, so you get nice lovely audio sound out of the speakers. The previous owner has upgraded the head unit, so we've now got CarPlay on there, which is great. Most importantly, this car comes with retrofitted Porsche Sports exhaust. So the full system has been replaced like for like with an OEM Porsche Sports exhaust with the correct button added to the panel. You get Sport mode, you get Sport Plus mode, and obviously you now get your nice exhaust button. We'll listen to that in a second. We'll take it out for a drive. Also on this car, it has been retrofitted with cruise control, which is quite nice. I quite like the appeal of 911s. I like the 2+2 layout. I like the engine being at the back. The consequences, the slight downside with having a 4S convertible is from a sort of luggage space perspective, you don't get as much room up front. The front boot is quite small because you've got the gubbins for the four-wheel drive system. And practicality wise, although it's kind of easy to get kids in and out with the roof down, arguably. I think probably with a coupe you've probably got a little bit more practicality and usability, whereas this is really kind of high days and summer car. Having said that though, the second gen, well, the 997s in general really moved Porsche on from a 911 point of view, and in here you just feel it's that nice kind of link from those first gen sort of water cooled Porsches through to the next gen 991s. You've kind of got the best of all worlds. You've got the reliability of that DFI engine, but you've still got the feel. This is still a reasonably small car, albeit it struck me just quite how wide it was, with obviously the sort of turbo wide bodied rear end. Trying to get it into the garage when at first was somewhat of a challenge, but we kind of managed it. It was wider than I expected, but if you look at kind of subsequent 911s, the 991s, etc., they're much bigger cars. This one's quite petite. I parked near a 991 the other day, and just you can tell and see just how small this car was. So they are really the sweet spot in the 911 range if you're after one. Let's take it out for a drive. Safety first. Sounds quite nice. If we switch to sport, it firms the suspension up. You can turn that off, so you can have sport on, firms the feel of the throttle up and the steering, I think, a little bit. Paddles are different on, I'm not quite sure why Porsche persisted with this for so long, and it does bug me, where most manufacturers were like down changes on the left, up changes on the right. Porsche's got these slidey buttons on both sides, and your paddles, like traditional paddles that everybody else has, were like an optional extra, and a lot of people in 997s in general upgrade to the kind of 991 and Porsche Macan wheels for exactly that reason. The other thing that always sort of bugs me about the Tiptronic, it's not Tiptronic, PDK in the here, is the shifter lever itself for going up and down is sort of counterintuitive. I remember the shifter lever in my M3, when you were changing down, you pushed it forward, and that felt a lot more natural than in this car, where to change down you pull it away. I never really kind of got that or sort of understood it. Small things. Crikey. We'll just have a little spin around. If you can hear that, sounds quite nice. The other thing that it doesn't do, again, which slightly disappoints me, again, coming from this is the Halo car. Previous Halo cars included the Lotus C4S and the BMW V8 M3. Although this sounds good, it does sound good. It doesn't sound like, it's certainly not a V8, and I'm going to say it sounds a tinsy bit artificial, which is a little bit of a shame. It's great, it sounds amazing. The other thing as well, and again, it's probably brutal Porsche efficiency in the way they've designed this car, but it doesn't throttle blip on downshifts like you would expect it to. Hear that? The other thing this car has, which is quite nice, fully spec'd up, is heated seats. Not only that, it has a heated steering wheel, something I've never ever had before. I didn't really realise it was available in 997s. So there's a button on the back of the steering wheel, on the kind of third stalk, binnacle bit of the steering wheel. And it also comes on when you put the heated seats on. And yeah, on a day like today, it's winter. It's a bit chilly. You hear that? This car was built for speed. It's got a wind deflector, so hopefully you can still hear me. Works quite well, feels quite cushioned in here, apart from the cold. There's not much wind, it does sort of do the job, which is nice. The gearbox is 7-speed, which I thought at first, well, I'll be honest, I thought it didn't work, but it does. It definitely works. It just doesn't go into 7th very often, especially if you keep it in sport mode, which sort of makes sense. But in normal driving mode, on a motorway, cruising along, it definitely goes into 7th gear. And I did do a reasonably long trip, 50 miles back from my place of work the other day. Mixture of roads, motorway, A roads, B roads, that kind of thing. And I managed to average 31 and a bit mpg, which is pretty good for a 3.8, 380 brake horsepower car. So motorway speed, this is what it sounds like, feels like, with the roof down and the wind deflector. Most Gen 2 997s anyway, or I think 997 convertibles in general, didn't really tend to come with the hardtops that you can get. Now you can add the 996 hardtop to this car, and I believe you need some additional kind of brackets to fit that. The old 996 that we had, the silver one, I actually have a video on my channel where we fitted that roof. Obviously, I'm pretty sure quite a few of them sort of came from the factory, not the factory, when you bought them, you got like your hardtop. I don't think it was quite the same case with the 997. Still, I'm using, there's not a great load of throttle blip on downshift like you got with the M3. Wow, mate, special. Right, sport mode. Third, second. See, it's very quiet when you change down, even though everything's set to sport. Changes down, it's very quiet. Here we go. Savage changing. Oh, it is very well engineered, the PDK box. Very well engineered. Oh, wow. It's a long time ago since I owned the M3 V8 that obviously had the DSG. That was pretty good. This is just also very good, but probably slightly more, feels a bit more sophisticated, let's say. But still very entertaining and rewarding to drive. It is a 911 at the end of the day. Alright, I think we'll close the video off there. Hopefully you can still hear me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Write in the comments, tell us what you think. Check out the other cars on the channel. Still got the MX-5, still got the 205 GTI, and we've still got the Mercedes C350E Hybrid. That's what we're running at the moment. They're all black. That's kind of how we like to roll. And we'll see you again very soon. Thanks for watching.